Welcome back to week 4, the penultimate week of the Digital Twin Talks by the National Digital Twin Programme. I'm Simon Evans from Arab, and over the last 4 weeks we've hosted a series of talks here on the Digital Twin Hub, given by experts across industry on digital twin concepts. Next week we'll have all of our speakers joining us for the live panel discussion, so make sure you tune in then and ask those challenging questions. Last week, week 3, we had Dr. Tungi from IMEC in Belgium, where he leads their digital twin programme. It was a fantastic talk where he introduced their programme and how it's being applied to the public and private built environments. He also shared how IoT, AI and 3D visualisation are being combined to improve decision making. Our final speaker this week is Neil Thompson from Atkins. Neil is also the delivery lead of the Commons workstream for the National Digital Twin Programme. The Commons, as the name suggests, is developing the common language and framework for creating, curating and connecting digital twins together into an ecosystem. In this talk, Neil will introduce the Commons and in particular the glossary that is being developed, where, as a community, we can start to align our language and terminology. He'll also be sharing how the Commons is taking learnings from the standardisation of the internet and how it's about building consensus in an open and agile way around the underlying infrastructure. Or, as Dan Roster from the BSI joked to me once, Twinfrastructure. So enjoy the talk, take part in the conversation on the Digital Twin Hub, and share your views using the hashtag Digital Twin Talks. And of course, don't forget to join us next week for the live panel discussion.
Hello, my name is Neil Thompson. I work for Atkins and I am the delivery lead for the Commons, which is part of the National Digital Twin Programme. Welcome to my Twin Talk. I'm here to talk to you about Twinfrastructure, creating a common language for us to build and connect digital twins. I'm going to make a brief introduction to the Commons. I'm going to talk about some of our design principles and how that supported the creation of a glossary that has been hosted through the Digital Twin Hub. I'm also going to we're going to walk through the glossary on the screen. And then finally, I have an announcement for you from the Commons. Now first, an introduction to the Commons. The Commons to me is about creating capability. Capability in 2 places. Capability for one, people to communicate, to be able to speak about the connection and creation of digital twins. And the other side is to create the capability for machines to do the same. How can we create data sets that are queryable across different types of infrastructure? So back to the subject of our Twin Talk about creating a common language. How should we go about doing that? And I want to share with you a design principle for the Commons. What we're doing in the Commons is to use an evidence base. Let's look back at things that have worked. Now, we know that previous performance does not necessarily predict future performance, but I think there's some guiding principles in the implementation of technology to date that should help us. And for example, I like to use the example of the foundation of and the creation of the internet. The internet in the 1960s was created through a group of collaborators that found a way of creating a counterculture to the current culture, well, to the culture that they were in at the time. Now, I'm not saying that we create a counterculture, but the counterculture that they did create is useful to us. They created a system of consensus before standardization. And in that consensus mechanism, they were open, agile, and had flatter structures or no hierarchy at all, which I think is important in the first stage in order to get something really complicated moving. And that's what we want to do in the Commons. We've got a really complicated thing to achieve. Creating a nation of digital twins, connecting our nation of twins together is no trivial task. And we have to take careful consideration how we're going to do that. We have to get moving and we have to get started somewhere. So here, in my talk, I'm going to present to you one of those mechanisms. It's hosted within the Digital Twin Hub. It's in the section called Glossary, and it's where we're going to align our language. The language that we use is really important because if And if you look at the previous twin talks, you may have noticed some different definitions for digital twin, for example. Now, at this stage, we're not looking to converge quickly onto a single definition of digital twin. We want to create a single place for a consensus mechanism to be made so we can talk about it and then converge on one to then be handed forward into standardization. So for me, personally, there's a difference between the consensus mechanism to get us started through to the standardization that is required for us to communicate globally about this. So, the functionality of the Digital Twin Hub and its glossary. The glossary has 3 target user types. Target user type number 1 is somebody that's not registered. That user can go look at the glossary and have a rummage around, have a look what's in there, take what they need and move on. If they're trying to find a definition for a document, they can drop in, pick out a description and an explanation of a term and never come back. But what we hope when they're there looking at the definitions and explanations is that actually they stumble across a community that provides the ability to collaborate on the creation and the consensus of the things that should become a standard in the future. So that brings us on to the next user. The next user is a member. Being a member of the Digital Twin Hub. That membership will provide you with the ability to comment and suggest and enable a workflow for us to be able to move those definitions forward if required. And then lastly, the last user is part of the administration of the hub. There'll be a moderator that can promote change and bring convergence to our definitions. Now within the commons, we have a governance framework that ensures that these changes are technically robust, are appropriate, and won't alienate the market. So there's really key mechanisms, but back to that member, the member that has the ability to suggest a new term. So we talk about different types of terms. We've got emerging terms. Emerging terms, for example, digital twin would have been an emerging term. You can raise that as an emerging term and say, hey, I think this is a word that's emerging and there should be an entry made on this glossary for us to start developing. A second term is a shared one. So a term that's already emerged but could be defined somewhere else. So for example, there's a lot of words that we use from the ODI. They've defined a lot of things around the digital twin space that we find quite useful, and we've taken those. And we call those shared terms. Terms that are good, robust, and come from somewhere else. And the last set are owned terms, owned by the commons. So for example, the National Digital Twin. The definition, the description, and the explanation of that is what we own, and we will maintain that. Now, we welcome feedback on that and use the user interface to provide us feedback, but that is a term that we own. And we want to be completely clear over the terms that we own and pull forward into standards and ones that we take from other standards, other organisations. I'm now going to go onto my computer and show you how the glossary works.
So welcome to the Digital Twin Hub website. So to go through the glossary in more detail, you need to visit the Digital Twin Hub website, which is digitaltwinhub.co.uk. Type that into your Internet Explorer of choice. The screen that you get will be slightly different to the one that I have here because I am logged in. For those that are logging in for the first time, there'll be a box up here on the top left-hand side that would say log in or register. Please place your details in there and register. But these options below will still be there. So even as a non-member, you'll be able to click on glossary, which is here on the left-hand side of the menu. And this will take you to the glossary section. Now this section has 10 terms on there to get us started. And we'll go on Digital Twin just to show you how this works. So we can see the views. Of course, to see a brief description And then when we click on there, we have a description and a broader explanation. Now what you'll be able to do here is you can choose to love, hate, cry, or award our explanations. You can add comments, and we encourage users to use the commenting section as much as possible, because it gives us the feedback for us to be able to progress these. If there are any critical aspects that you think are there and you're not willing to share in the comment box, there is a report term, but that is to be used sparingly for real high-risk problems. General commentary, please, positive or negative here, and we could manage it appropriately. Now, you can flick through the terms, as in the next unread term, for the ones that you've not read, and go through each one. We'll go back to terms. Now, what we can do, if there is a term here that you feel that should be added, we can suggest a new term. And as you can see here, your content will need to be approved by a moderator. We have an approvals process that makes sure that we're being technically robust in our creation of terms. And just for example, digital triplets can be our suggested term. So this is the triple helix of digital twin integration, where the physical is combined with the digital as is state and then connected further with a future state twin or a simulation. Yeah, I'm typing garbage, but you're able to put a description here. Who owns it? Is it shared? Who is it with? Is it the ODI? Is there some reference material you can link us to? Is it an owned one? Do you think CDBB and the National Digital Twin Programme own a particular term? Could it be the intergalactic twin? And also the broader explanation. And you can drag and drop files into here in terms of pictures and references. And there's a single image that you can put here, and it will put it onto the main page. Once I should warn our dear moderators that this is a test, and then off it goes. That is now sent off to the moderators. Now if we go back to terms, I would have my suggested term here that's of a different colour. It has not been approved. It's pending approval. So I'm the only person that can see this, plus the moderators. The broader outside world cannot see it. So there you go. There's a quick tour of the interface. Please drop by. Please contribute. And please keep visiting.
And thank you for watching my digital twin talk. I wanted to give a sneaky preview of an announcement from the Commons. The Commons is releasing a information management framework pathway paper. That pathway paper sets out the foundation and the tasks that we need to do to get moving to create a interconnected set of twins. Within there will be examples of problems that we're trying to solve by connecting twins, so you can have some use cases. There'll be some suggestions on integration architecture, how we can go about creating a thing called a foundation data model, and how that will tie things called reference data libraries together. So keep your eyes out on social media for the release of that report, and we'll be really happy to hear your feedback on how we can make it happen. Thank you.